Now turning this morning to new developments from last night's protest in downtown Atlanta that started peacefully but quickly turned violent as the night progressed. Here are three things that you need to know right now about what happened last night. First, a police car was set on fire after an explosive was used by a protester, and that's according to Atlanta police, but no one was hurt. Second, multiple businesses in the area were damaged and had their windows smashed with bricks. Third, several arrests were made, according to Atlanta police, in response to the protests turning violent. And here is how some people who were there and saw it all happen in real time are feeling right now.
They were pulling up in U-Hauls, and they had the type of glass breaker that taps the window and the glass just automatically shatters. I was dumbfounded. I couldn't believe that this was happening here in America. It's almost like some third world country type stuff.
11 Alive's Karis Belger is downtown right now where this all happened just hours ago. And Karis, what are you seeing at the moment after the aftermath this morning in reaction to all of the events that happened last night from both sides of the conversation surrounding the future of that Atlanta training police site?
Well, as the sun is coming up, we're getting a clearer look at the damage, and we're hearing from people passing by just how unexpected it was. They never expected to see anything like this. If you take a look over my shoulder, you can see this boarded up window, but I want you to take a look at this ATM machine just over here. It's been hit multiple times, at least 3 you can see from the impact on that glass. Completely destroyed. So is another machine as well. But I also want you to take a look at this footage from before things were boarded up. It gives a much clearer picture of the damage of the windows of the Wells Fargo smashed in before someone came to board them up. According to police, 3 businesses total had their windows damaged. This all happened after the initial demonstration. People we heard from say they were protesting against the building of the Atlanta Public Safety Facility, which some call Cop City, but also in memory of Manuel Tehran, who was killed Wednesday during an interaction with law enforcement. Now, we also heard from people about what their next steps were after that initial demonstration. Here's what they told us.
Continue organizing, boots on the ground, and, they want us to be quiet, and we won't, so.
And as we know, things escalated later in the evening. In addition to the Wells Fargo, a Truist Bank nearby also had its windows destroyed. And according to police, protesters lit fireworks in front of a building that houses the Atlanta Police Foundation. At one point, as was mentioned, a police car was also set on fire. What led up to this and who completely is responsible is something police are currently looking into.
The investigation is continuing to determine who we have under arrest that may cause that, and if there's someone that committed a criminal act that we currently do not have in custody. We're using all of our investigative resources to ensure we identify them and we bring them to justice.
Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens, as well as Police Chief Shearbaum, both said that officers were able to, quote, restore order, but they are continuing to look into the events of last night and continue to look for any potential suspects. I'll continue to keep you updated as we learn more about this story throughout the morning.
Thank you, Karis. And political figures are responding. Here's what Governor Kemp is saying right now in response to all of this. He says that violence and unlawful destruction of property are not acts of protest, and adds that they are crimes that will not be tolerated in Georgia and will be prosecuted fully, and goes on to thank all the agencies involved last night that worked to keep the city's streets safe. And in a statement from Georgia Senator Ossoff, he says that although peaceful protest is a sacred constitutional right, violence is unacceptable, cannot be tolerated or permitted, and asks that it comes to a stop immediately. Now, more reactions are also continuing to pour in online from other agencies across the state, including from the GBI, Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr, and more. And also last night, here's a look at how people across the nation and even as far as across the Atlantic Ocean came together for vigils and demonstrations, which are also calling for a stop to the future police training site. Moving forward, it looks like this is just the beginning of vigils and demonstrations mourning the man who was shot and killed earlier last week at the future Atlanta Police Training Site, as Defend the Atlanta Forest continues to post on Twitter about upcoming vigils and demonstrations planned nationwide, ranging from coast to coast.